Hello, this is Tyler, and welcome to my fourth Dororo review. What? What do you mean episode 5 already came out, and episode 6 is about to come out in 2 days, and I missed the fourth one? No. The fourth one just came out. Can't prove nothing. Okay, no. But seriously, yeah, I know I'm late. I'm really late on this review. My laptop, which is the only thing I have to make and record videos with, there was a bad part in it, and that caused like a domino effect, which caused other things to go bad, and in the end I had to send it back to the factory to get it repaired, and I got it back recently. So yeah. So I have to make the review late, though, because I do want to do these reviews, and I want to do the entire series, hopefully. I have to backtrack, of course. I did not watch anything after episode 4. Like, I knocked something over. I didn't watch anything after episode 4. I didn't watch, I didn't watch the 5th episode or anything like that. So I have no idea what's going on, and I did that on purpose because I don't want my knowledge of the 5th episode to change my view of this episode or anything like that. Like, I don't want, the 5th episode is most likely going to relate to this episode, I imagine. So I didn't want, my knowledge of that episode to change my judgment of this episode, if that makes sense. Anyways, on to the review. This episode is titled The Story of the Cursed Sword. We see Hayakamoto standing in the rain, and he is questioned by a girl named Osushi. And Osushi feels that Hayakamoto is listening to the rain, despite Dororo saying that Hayakamoto can't hear. We learn that Osushi is waiting for her brother, who had left for war some time ago, years ago. Not long after this. We also learned that Osushi used to be wealthy, but due to the war and everything that's going on with their land, she lost all that, and she is now nothing more than a beggar girl. A man comes out of the woods who was slashed, and we learned that it was because of one of our 16 demons. When Hayakamoto goes to investigate, we learn that the demon is actually not an organic being, but is actually a sword. So it's a man-made being, which is something I found interesting, because I always thought that the demons would be organic beings. And I also thought that the demons were sealed away, and it was the deal that they made with Daigo that unleashed them into the world. However, what we learn about the sword later on seems to contradict this, so I'm not sure. I'll get to that when we get to the more of the sword. We get to see our first actual sword fight, which I thought was really cool, considering the fact that Hayakamoto is clearly a swordsman. So it was really cool to see him actually in a sword fight. So, yeah, there you go. In the end, Hayakamoto does, of course, win. He uses his prosthetic leg to kind of wedge the sword in. Tanosuke, jabs him in the leg, but of course it's prosthetic, and the sword gets wedged in there. And that's how he gets the sword away from Tanosuke, and then he pushes Tanosuke off a cliff. As you do, that's the logical thing that it pushing someone off a cliff, obviously. So from here, the story kind of branches off, 2 different things are happening at the same time, and we kind of go back and forth. Well, starting with Tanosuke. Tanosuke is found from Osushi, and it is learned that Tanosuke is Osushi's brother, the person that she has been waiting for this whole time. And we also learn how, in the very beginning of the episode, I didn't mention this, but in the very beginning of the episode, we actually see a silent scene of what is an execution, but we don't actually get to see the whole thing. But here we actually do get to see the whole thing, and we learn that Tanosuke was given the sword by this king, this ruler, who told him to either use it to kill them or kill himself. The sword was very rusted when he got it, but as he killed people, it started cleaning up, clearing up, and that's when he started becoming possessed by it, and he killed even the ruler, or king, or whoever he is, whatever the fuck. He's dead, who cares? His hair also goes white, I guess, and he starts becoming decrepit. I have no idea what's up with that, but whatever. Back to what I was saying earlier about how I thought it was interesting that the demons can be man-made objects as opposed to just organic beings. There is a legend about the sword that the more it kills, the cleaner it gets. The more blood that soaks into it, the cleaner it gets. And it seems like this legend was already established before these events. So you would think that the sword would have had to been around for a long, long time in order for this legend to even exist. I mean, sure, it would have been around at the very least 16 years, but I don't think that's enough time to have a legend built up around it or anything like that. So you would think it would have to exist longer. So I'm kind of thinking that perhaps the sword existed a long time ago, like the demonicness of the sword existed like a very long time ago, and someone used it, and he might have been like a very well respected samurai or something like that, but he became corrupted, started killing everyone. Eventually he was killed, and the sword was sheathed and locked up, and that's how the legend started. And the sword perhaps was passed down through generation to generation, and then maybe it recently, within the last few years, got into the hands of this man, whether if he was inherited it or if it came about through like a raid or anything like that. I don't know, but he recently obtained it, and he did not believe in this sort of a curse or this legend, which is why he gave the sword to him. And it was originally supposed to be kind of a joke, but it turned out to be true, ending in his own death. That's what I'm kind of guessing is going on here. I mean, of course, none of that is confirmed. That's just me kind of spitballing here, but it doesn't really seem to make sense for it the sword to suddenly exist 16 years ago, and for like a legend to be built up around it, which is what is suggested from the scene. So that's what I'm kind of thinking, that maybe they did exist, because I always thought the demons existed in like a completely different world, like they were like sealed away or something like that, and that having Hayakimaru's body parts is what is like a connector or a link to them for the human world, and that's how they got to the human world. But that would have happened 16 years ago, and like I just said, I don't think there's enough time for a legend to be built around it, which makes me think the demons always existed in the human world, and that the reason why they took Hayakimaru's body parts was probably just to kind of mess with Daigo. I can't really think of any other reason. Like, they gave Daigo like the power to become ruler, I guess, but they didn't fix anything in the land. That's all up to Daigo. But maybe they're just like, well, okay, we'll give you the power to fuck up this land more. We're just gonna take your firstborn son. Fuck you, something like that. I don't know. Anyways, back to the story and back to Dororo and Hayakimaru. Dororo, who is basically Hayakimaru's limb caddy. Don't know what else to really call him. I mean, essentially that's what he is. He's like the fucking limb caddy. Collects Hayakimaru's arms and leg, and he gets the sword out of his leg, which starts taking over Dororo. Like, it doesn't possess him to kill people or anything like that. Like, Dororo is still clearly aware of himself, but he can't drop the sword, and it's kind of like it's controlling him. And the sword is like trying to lead Dororo back to Tenosuke, back to its host, I guess you can call him. Something I thought was interesting was Hayakimaru faced Dororo, and it seemed like they were going to fight, or Hayakimaru was going to harm Dororo, but that wasn't the case. He only got the sword out of Dororo's hand, and that was it. So he didn't view Dororo as a threat, even though he was wielding the sword. So I liked that. It was a nice little scene there. Tenosuke does get the sword back, and he and Hayakimaru do fight again. Hayakimaru wins and kills Tenosuke. Yeah, the dude's dead. So the thing that Hayakimaru gets back here is his ears and his sense of hearing. Though he might have already had his sense of hearing back, since he got his senses back, like his sense of feeling and stuff. So maybe that, like, the senses are already there, like the sense of hearing and the sense of sight, that's already there. But because he doesn't have the eyes or the ears, he still can't hear or see. So maybe that's how that works. I don't know. But, yeah, so he gets his ears back and his sense of hearing along with it. And the first thing he hears is Oshushi crying over the death of her brother. So I'm kind of thinking that this could be relevant for the future. Like, not necessarily Oshushi and Tenosuke themselves, but I kind of think that maybe the event of someone crying over something he did could affect him. Like, maybe it'll affect his fighting in the next episode or something like that. Or maybe a sense of hearing in general could affect his fighting. Because he's someone who was basically deaf his whole life. And I don't know why I said basically. He was deaf his whole life. Now all of a sudden he can hear. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he probably is like very sensitive at hearing right out of the gate. So it's probably just gonna be right out of the gate. So he's probably gonna have overly sensitive hearing. So it's probably gonna really affect him in his fighting. And on top of that, he has to deal with the consequence of the actions that he just did, killing someone who had a loved one and dealing with the repercussions of that loved one's sorrow. So yeah, that's probably going to affect him in the next episode, I imagine. Our end card is of the sword Nihiru. My overall opinion of this episode, I thought there was a lot of interesting stuff in it. I thought it was interesting to see how Hayakimaru really views Dororo, how he doesn't view Dororo as an enemy, even if he did have like the sword, which clearly is a demonic thing. I thought it was interesting seeing Hayakimaru in a sword fight, because he is a swordsman. And I thought it was interesting to learn about the sword itself and what that could mean for the demons in general. Honestly, other than that, this episode wasn't the best. I mean, I thought Osushi and Tenosuke themselves were like really boring. And I didn't really care much about them. So, and they were like kind of a main focus on this. So by extension, the episode kind of felt lackluster. So yeah, that's my basic opinion of this episode. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff in it that's good for like future references in the episode, and good for more story building, more world building in the series. So I liked that. But the two characters of the siblings, yeah, they were like really boring, and I didn't really care about them. I would say I liked the episode, or it was okay. You know, somewhere around that general range. I don't love it, but it was okay. Once again, I want to apologize for this review being really late. The review for the next episode, the 5th episode, will be out hopefully sometime this week, most likely. And the episode after that, which will be out in probably like 2-3 days, somewhere like that. I can't remember the exact times it comes out, but I will hopefully get that out within the same week. That way when the next episode comes on after that, the 7th episode, I'll be fully caught up and I'll be able to do these reviews once a week again. So yeah, there you go. If you like this review, please subscribe, comment, like. So yeah, there you go. I'll see you when I see ya. Bye.